democracy if people don't have a right to speak?
David Shebib.
David Shebib.
David
David
Shebib.
Shebib.
David Shebib.
David Shebib.
David Arthur Johnson talks about pride quite a bit. He attributes a lot of problems to people being prideful and thinking that that's a good thing. He's very adamant about his belief and stand that pride is one of the worst things we have, that is a commonly held misbelief that pride is good. Now, I want to talk about bullies. When you take a person and it's a one-on-one, you can say, well, okay, that's fair. Like I challenged the judges in the Supreme Court in Victoria, along with David Arthur Johnson and Louis Lasowski, over the Election Act. But they weren't able to go over to Vancouver. So I went over and met with the judge over there in the federal court. You walk in this building, it's on Robson Street, it's really posh. And immediately, like I felt, it a little overwhelmed. And I go into the courtroom, and the federal government had two lawyers with a foot-high stack of papers that were compiled to their position that the Election Act was a legal maneuver for the politicians to use to get into government. And I had stated that no, the Election Act was unconstitutional, and denied me and David Arthur Johnson and Louis Lasowski and everybody else free speech. There were many things wrong with the Election Act, but the three basic requirements to become a candidate within a federal election, and provincial and municipal, were wrong. Putting up money, for a start, eliminates a whole bunch of people. If the elections are going to be run by money, which they are, and anybody who doesn't think otherwise is just being deceitful and lying, or they're too stupid to understand that money rules the system. And people with money quickly become bullies. They're empowered by the system. They have all the weight of the system behind them. The moment they've got unlimited supply of money, they can manipulate the media. They can manipulate the community associations. Like you, if you're poor, you are like a deer in the headlight in the system. You're just about toast, one way or another. Now, the title of my epitaph, I guess, is the power of right. If you're right, it don't matter how long it takes. In time, you will be proven right. Galileo, they can say, okay, look. It doesn't make any sense that we're living on a round Earth, like that the Earth is floating in space, and that we're minuscule in comparison to all the other matter. No, to the normal sight and reasonable thinking person, we're living on a flat Earth. Like it's obvious. Let's look around you. Look at everything's flat. Like you're walking. How could you walk on when what we know is the physical qualities that we're living on, the qualities of the earth, the floating through space at floating. We're not really floating. We're traveling through space, 12 million miles a day. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Like it's an amazing creation we are. All right. So you can be overwhelmed with all that. So we focus. And what I'm focusing on, like I'm one person. That's all. One person. And you're one person. We're all one. Together, we're the whole. We're one earth. Now, we've been divided and we're being controlled by collectives who have a tendency to bully the individual. And within the election, there's nothing greater than the bullying power of the voters. They get together as a collective and they stick one person up with all their collective power and say, you speak for us. You are our spokesperson. And that person is basically not really there. The party's there, the organization is there, the collectives are there, and the person, they may not have the view that they speak at all. They may believe something entirely different, but in order to get elected, they have to go along with the party lines. So they join the collective. And in that collective, they become a bully. They bully their way within that collective to be heard and to have their voice acted on, their directives acted on. Now, I oppose all that. I believe that the individual, that the person is supreme. That what you do, like if you understand what the principle of self-similarity, that if you understand one thing, two things are just a double of one, and three are just a triple. So in that principle, one person, now we have to get it right for one person, that's all. If we can get one person free, then we have a chance of getting two people free and four people, and then it exponentially multiplies. Now, in the case of David Arthur Johnston, now he doesn't use money. When I first heard of him, I says, okay, I got to meet this guy. I heard about him. I'm over in Salt Spring, and I hear about this guy that doesn't use money. So I come over to meet him, and I try and give him some money, and he just turns it down. He says, no, I don't want your money. I just don't be foolish. Anyway, after getting to now, it's been like 14 years that I've known him, and he has not touched money in that time. Now, you could say, well, how does he do it? And a lot of people say, well, he lives where I live. He doesn't pay rent. He actually smokes cigarettes. And how does he get these things? He said, every time, how does he get cigarettes if he doesn't use money? Well, he's pretty smart. He knows how to do things without money. So he's a good example of the power of right. And he knows that money is a corruption. It's a fake reality. And in it, like a small amount of people are controlling the whole. I heard the other day, or read the other day, that 42 people have the same amount of wealth as the poorest 3.5 billion people. This is inequitable. This is not a balance. And these 42 people are bullies. They're bullies with their money. They have the collective behind them. They have the police. They have the governments. They have the publics, because they control the purse. Who pays the bills, calls the tune. So if I'm in court on the February the 23rd, I was a candidate in a provincial election, and I was putting up posters in downtown Victoria within my riding. Anyway, excuse me for a minute. I just got up. I'm having my first coffee. And I'm putting up posters. And these security guards down in Pembroke and Government are taking them down. And I told them, I says, look, I have a right to put up posters, and it's illegal for you to take these posters down, and I will have you charged. Well, they call the police on me. I says, fine, call, fine, thinking now, yeah, good, call the police. The police have to support my legal right to speak as a candidate within a provincial election. I paid my dues. I am a registered candidate, and I have a right to free speech, I think. But no, you do not have a right. If they decide to arrest you, which they did me, and they charged me with uttering threats, the threat that I uttered was, you'll be charged. It's illegal for you to take down my posters. I have the full right to take these posters, put these posters up, expressing my views. And I'm trying to bring an answer to this homeless problem with working with David Arthur Johnson, and no money involved. It's not a problem. Like, no, money is a problem. No money is no problem. And if we don't have money, we're all going to be rich. A whole different scenario. If you think without money we can do things, well, you don't have that limitation of money. And so I'm expressing my views. I'm putting up my posters, and they arrest me because these guards, who have the collective power behind them, they are the security system of the system. And if they say arrest this guy, and the orders come from headquarters, then they come out, the police come out, they're just civil servants, and they arrest me. They don't know. Now, why do they do that? I say they're bullies. They're bullies. They're acting like bullies. They're using the collective force of that establishment. They've got guns and they've got a badge, and I'm standing alone there, like I'm just doing my job, trying to, in my simple way, trying to live a true life and raise a family, and I'm seeing it's impossible under the circumstances that we're in, under the conditions that we're forced to live under in this system of pride and collective bullies. We are forced into error. Now, the power of right, you know you're right. You're going to stand on your feet here. Stand up. Don't allow anybody, nobody can convince you you're wrong if you're right. In time will prove you out. So I stand on the rightness of my path. Now, I do some things wrong. I'm not that smart. I make a few mistakes, but not always, not all the time. And my intentions are to do what is right. Now you have to say, well, what is right? What are rights? David Arthur Johnson did a campaign, The Right to Sleep, and when I met him, he says, I'm going to find a judge, and the judge is going to tell me, yeah, you have the legal right to sleep. And what that entails. If you think about it, that means quite a bit. Like, if you got the legal right to sleep, which we do not have, by the way, even yet, after this long campaign, this long battle, we still do not have the legal right to sleep 7/24, like 24 hours a day. You have the right. You can sleep outside only at night. If you don't have any money and you got no place to live and you need to sleep, you can only sleep legally at night. Okay, now, this has been a 13-minute video at this point. I just woke up. I'm having my first coffee. I just want to tell you that I'm in court February the 23rd. I'm expecting them to act like bullies again. I'm charged with, from my point of view, from expressing my free speech in opposition to the collective, which has paid speech, which has the power and the authority to be wrong. Now, you can't be wrong all day. At some point, you got to be right. And so now we're toasting the earth under the wrongness of the path that the system is moving in. And I want to straighten that out. We're going to go out, and we're going out. There's no question about it. We're all going to die. The whole earth is going to die. The universe is going to die. It's just a matter of time. So forget time in this moment, in this now of being. I want you to understand the power of right. And what they did to me was not right. And those elections were a fraud. And that government is a fraud. So understand that their power is just the power of bullies. And if you go along with those bullies, then you're part of that collective. You're part of that bullying reality. And most people are. Certainly the voters are, because they've never been right as a collective. They've always elected, the lesser of two evils. They call it, and all that gobbledygook they push at you. But it's the individual that we have to support. We have to support the radicals right now within our system. Those people who are standing out and like as pioneers and moving in unique ways to establish a new order, a new way. And this is new. I am David Shebib, and I am New World Order. I am one person in control of some control. Maybe not. I don't have all the control, but I got some control over myself. And in that control, I'm putting my life on the line to expose that system under a collective despot is false. And February 23rd, pay attention. We're starting a campaign right now to stop police bullies. And I'd like your support. Thank you very much.